Violence has been gripping the city of Milwaukee for the second straight night. The riot sparked by the shooting death of an armed black suspect, and he was shot and killed by a black police officer. Joining me now is Milwaukee County Sheriff David Clarke. Sheriff, welcome. Good to have you with us this morning.
Thank you.
I know you called for the National Guard to be brought in and that law and order was your top priority in restoring that to your city. How are things going there now, and what do you think about how this has evolved?
Well, look, Saturday night, the social order totally collapsed in a part of the city of Milwaukee. And when that happens, tribal behavior takes over, and tribal behavior leads to the law of the jungle replacing the rule of law. But here's what's going on in Milwaukee quickly. We have all the ingredients for this sort of thing. All the police shooting does is act as an igniter, as you indicated. But here's what causes riots. We have inescapable poverty in the city of Milwaukee. Milwaukee's like the sixth poorest city in America. You have massive black unemployment. I think it's at 32%. You have a failing K-12 public education system. It's one of the worst in the nation. You have questionable lifestyle choices. Some of this is self-inflicted. All these kids with no fathers around. Father-absent homes. When fathers aren't around to shape the behavior of young men, they oftentimes grow up to be unmanageable misfits. Those are the ingredients. Milwaukee has all of them. All this police shooting did, of an armed individual, by the way. When 4 other murders happened the night before and you didn't see this sort of reaction, you know, and you ask how things are going. It was a little better last night, not good enough for me. I won't be happy until these creep rioters crawl back into their hole and let the quality of life return. Yes, it's an economically depressed area, the Milwaukee ghetto, but it's overwhelmingly good, law-abiding people, and they just want their quality of life back.
I mean, you have so much passion for your city and love for the people there, and I know that this really goes to the core of everything that you've been fighting for. I'm reminded of the California story, because we talked about how dry conditions are there all the time. It takes, a tailpipe or a cigarette to start that fire that just forced the evacuation of all those homes. And you had that the other night when you see that shooting that happened and you hear the circumstances of it. And as you point out, that's all it took. It's all it took to bring people into the streets and to destroy the businesses that those people have built. I want to play a soundbite from the father of the man who was killed in that incident. And I want to hear your thoughts about this man.
I had to blame myself for a lot of things too, because your hero is your dad, and I played a very big part in my family's role model for us. I just got out of jail probably 2 months ago, but I've been going back and forth in jail, and they see these things, so I'm like to apologize to my kids, because this is the role model they look up to.
What do you think about that?
Well, it's neat stuff to hear, but there are millions of young men across the country who are in that same situation. You know what encourages this? The growth of the welfare state. These are underclass behaviors. 70% of the kids born in Milwaukee, at least for the last decade or so, are born without an engaged, father in their life. So I look at the progressive policies that have marginalized black dads. They pushed them to the side, said, you're not needed. Uncle Sam is going to be the dad. He's going to provide for the kids. He's going to feed the kids, so on and so forth. But Uncle Sam's been a horrible father. Uncle Sam does not love these kids, might keep a little food in their mouth, and that is about it. But we all know the importance of an intact family, what it can do to shape the behavior of kids. And when you have the situation like we have here in Milwaukee, it's in Chicago, it's in Baltimore, it's in New York and some other areas, this has been a total collapse, a disaster. These progressive policies have hit the black community like a nuclear blast. And until we reverse this government dependency, that's what creates all of this, and it encourages it, by the way, along with some questionable lifestyle choices. But until the black community does a self-evaluation, and until they begin to self-criticize about some of the lifestyle choices they're making, this stuff's going to continue to fester, and it's going to continue.
You've said a lot, Sheriff. And where does that come from, though? I mean, we've talked about this, but where does the catalyst come from for anything like that to start to take place?
Well, it has to start from within, okay? Until there's an adaptive change, meaning a change in the behavior of the individual. That's why I ask for a self-evaluation, a self-inventory, to not be afraid to self-criticize, to look and say, hey, I've done some stupid stuff in my life. But now I have an obligation. I have all these kids. I have them from different fathers. And the fathers to say, hey, look, I had these kids. I have to re-engage. It has to start there. And then, of course, there's some other things going on with community support, that can help as well. But this is total government dependency, and it has been disastrous for the black community. Until we push back against this progressive ideology, this dangerous ideology that has been very destructive on the black community, until we push back, and that's what I'm trying to do. It's job one right now in terms of messaging. Till we push back, this thing's only going to get worse.
Is there a political answer, at least in part, to that?
Yeah, the political answer really is for these progressive Democrats. They've ruled this city for 50, 60 years. We haven't had a Republican mayor in the city of Milwaukee since 1908. Okay, so this is all on them. But the political class is also going to have to be honest and say, look, we set up this government dependency. It has backfired on us. Let's slowly, you can't pull the rug out from under people all at once. Let's slowly start to reverse this and make people reach for self-sufficiency. Over time, you can reverse this. You can't do it all at once. But right now, this is about political power. The progressives want votes, black votes. And they do it how? Keeping black people hooked on the high of handouts.
Powerful words. 70% of the young men in Milwaukee do not grow up with a father. And that's a rough situation, as you know better than
Dads
anybody,
matter.
sir. Thank you. Dads matter is so right. Thank you very much, Sheriff. Thank you for coming on the show, and good luck to you in Milwaukee. We'll be watching. Many thanks.
My pleasure.
You're exactly right. He said